Well, since we are only booked for a half hour, I
Mhm.
will get into it, but I thank you all for being on. I think, they talk about anytime we go to a training, if you guys aren't teaching MREA, you're doing something wrong. So we thought, why don't we start creating these bite-sized value pack sessions? It doesn't have to be a long time. We can interview you guys who are boots on the ground of different topics. So Michaleen was so wonderful to agree to doing this first one with us. We're going to be covering lead gen sources, working your database. I reached out to Michaleen first because it does such a great job at nurturing her sphere and client events, and she has like beautifully streamlined her sphere into the community. So without further ado, did you want to introduce yourself, Michaleen, in case somebody is on and does not know you?
Sure, because you know what an extrovert I am, Jill. I love talking about myself. I have been with this market center. This market center was open for 1 year when I came here. And just to make it very brief, we've, I never had a choice to go anywhere else. And I mean that in a good way. The gal that brought me in said, well, this is where you are and you'll probably stay here forever. And here we are. And I will never leave here because KW, first of all, number one, works for me. And KW, everything we've been has worked for me as well. So why, it's like they say, if it's not broken, don't fix it.
Mm-hmm.
This is why I'm here. Can't even imagine going anywhere else.
Thanks. And I didn't pay her to say that, so.
No, you didn't. No, you didn't.
Perfect. Okay, so we will get right into it. I would love to ask, so I know, like I said, you have a wonderful sphere business, but what would your top 2 to 3 lead sources be?
Well, I think for me, and this is going to be something that everybody is going to like, oh my God, you're saying the same thing. It's true. You have to work your database.
Mm-hmm.
And and listen, if anyone has heard it as much as myself, leads, listing, leverage, if I never had that memorized, I do now, because we have so many people that are in this market center that are such rock stars. I mean, truly rock stars. And those are the 3 things that you have to remember. And that my job is to list, my job is to sell, and my job is to close. That's all I want to do. Ask Mindy, ask Bob. I don't want to do anything else. And I'm not doing the laundry. So I think that but if we could all just remember that, it'll be a little bit easier. And do you have to go back to your sphere and your database? Absolutely. It's only until the last couple, Mindy's in here with me, so I'd have to justify that. We finally have it broken down now to our A, B, C, and D, none of the above. So I think for us, now that we have everybody organized, it makes it easier for me to reach out to my love VIPs and my B. I would love for you to be a VIP, but for right now, you're gonna be a B only. And then C's, I need to work harder to get you up to where I need you to be. And so what does that mean for me? It means that the majority of my A's and B's are all referral.
Mm-hmm.
So, but would I get those referrals if I didn't stay in touch with everyone? Probably not so much. You just have to do it. And I know that just do it is not, it's so boring with that just do it already. But you know what? You have to, period. There's nothing else to talk. Like Hudson Warren said in bold, just do it. Stop already. Just do it. You're welcome.
Yes.
The truth.
Without a doubt. I
Without a
completely
doubt.
agree. Tell me, Michaleen, with the A, B, C, D, none of the above, I love how you categorize that. What parameters, what does it take to make somebody an A? What makes them a B? What makes them a C?
My A clients are people that like continually send me referrals. And I mean, great referrals, not my B's that are like, oh, my sister-in-law's brother's uncle. Well, his girlfriend, even though he's married, she's a realtor, and we're thinking of working. Forget I said that. But it's really a true story. We're thinking of working with her, but then we heard that you're like a mom and we want to work with you. So those are my B's. I have to kind of keep working at turning them around, and sooner or later I do.
Mm-hmm.
My A's are the people that don't hesitate, no matter where they're at, no matter what they're doing, whether wherever they're at, even if they're not in the state, they make sure that they call me. Those are my A's. And I love my VIPs. And I was listening to a very interesting podcast, and I'm going to give plugs as we go along because, Ellie McIntyre her VIPs are everybody. And I love that. I need to get to that point. I'm not a hugger, so, I don't always like everyone. So I have to be cautious in who's my VIPs because they're my important people. And going next to the B's, let me go back to the chat in the morning that the girls do. And Janice would know the name of it. I don't know. Sometimes they walk and they exhaust me when I have to, early birds. But sometimes I listen and I'm like, I love that she loves everybody. My VIPs, I feel I need to treat them differently. I need to give them everything because they keep me going. And you know what I love about them the most is their referrals are just like them. So that to me is the funnest thing. My B's are like, you're going to really like them, but they're so picky and I love them as well. My C's, they can't decide what they want to do. They want to buy, they want to list, how much money can I get? And I love sharing that with them as well, because here's your equity, let's go buy a house. And then it goes into that whole conversation, what if I don't find one? And that's not for today. I mean, that's like a whole nother class, which there's a lot more people that are much more experienced at that than me. But then your D's are like, they're my D's. You're like not A, B, or C. But you know what? I'm going to stay in touch with you and I'm going to wish you a happy birthday on Facebook. And I'm going to send you special little things when I think about you. And I'm going to send you a little birthday, Mitchell's ice cream card. But when you're ready, you'll probably have to call me.
Yep.
Because I need to concentrate on my A's and B's and C's.
Yes. Now, do you, my next question was, how often do you follow up with your database? Another question I would add to that is, are you following up with your A's, B's, C's, D's in a different frequency?
Yes.
Okay.
I 100%. I forget, with my D's, we do so much. I mean, besides emails and texts and everything that we need to keep them on top of the market to continue to educate them. I do have to say I spend a lot of time on my A's and B's and C's. And you have to make that investment, not just with your time. You have to make it with a little something. If I'm out and I'm near one of my clients and I know that they love Stan's Cookies, which is a bake shop closer to where I am, or if they like a certain candy, I'm going to pick it up and I'm going to take it there. And if they're not home, I'm going to put it on the door and I'm going to take a picture and I'm going to send it to them. And it'll probably be melted because they didn't get home quick enough. But the fact is, I'm not going to carry it with me. I'm thinking of you here. If you can, go home and pick it up. If not, put it in the freezer for a little bit. But those are the kind of relationships I love having. Is that easy to do with A's and B's and C's? Sometimes not so much. You run out of time. But I stay in touch with them because I love that. I love it. I am not, I wish I was, I swear to you, I am not the FSBO girl. I'm not. I'm not even the expired girl. I'm just not.
But what I love about that is you have built such an amazing business on what you do love. It doesn't you don't have to cold call all day long if FSBOs aren't your jam. What are you good at? And you've doubled down on that.
Well, but you know what I think, Jilly, is the fact that those FSBOs need our help. They really do. And I know there's enough people reaching out to them. So that's always my excuse. Well, everybody else is calling them. Why should I? But the fact is, maybe I'd be okay for them. Maybe I'm a different personality. I'm not a very good scripter, which I should have listened to our team leader from, 13 years ago that when you need to be scripted, I'm like, scripting. And they're like, but you need to list. And I'm like, I don't really like listing. I love running my buyers and, that'll bite you sooner or later. So if you're coming in the business, listen to the people in our office, listen to everybody that's teaching you to list, because that is what it's all about. End of the day.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Let me ask you this. You covered this a little bit, but in what ways are you communicating with your database? Like, so, MREA, they talk about having a 36 touch plan, and that might be 25 emails, 4 calls, 10 texts, or maybe it's client events. In what ways are you nurturing your database? Do you do newsletters, phone calls?
I wish I did newsletters, but because I talk so much, it would take me a real long time to create one. So I don't do newsletters, but I am much better. Let me tell you what I implemented. Actually, I just started it today. And I just want you all to know that I've only heard this a million times in every single bold and never did it. But this little DT, I always mess these letters up. This little DTD2, well, listen, this is a perfect time to start that now. And Janice, of course, can follow up. Well, first, let me give a plug for Inspire, because if you are not an Inspire member, I'm sorry, Jill, I just got to tell everybody because it's so unbelievable. But it's this little speaker that was on John Acuff, maybe, that said, new season, new scoreboard.
Love
Well,
that.
you know what I decided to do? To start listening to all the bolds. Like, I don't even know how many I went to on the DTD2. So isn't this perfect that we are able to now walk into it with our, this week is A&W. How perfect is that? It's the last 6 months, your letter A. I do have to tell you, I did one today. I don't know if I have time to share the story, but I did do an A today. And I was like, hey, this is Michaleen. I don't know who you are. But they told us to do that, like clean up that phone. If you're going to do it, now's the time to do it. And I kind of felt bad. I didn't really remember her. And she's like, you don't remember me? And I'm like, well, no, I don't. I'm just going to be honest with you, but I want to keep you in my phone. And I want to see what I can help you with real estate. And she said, you helped me get a job. Yeah.
How
So,
special.
Jill, I didn't remember who she was.
But still, that's just it.
I wanted to die, because here but listen, if somebody wouldn't have told me to do it
exactly.
for the last 8 years, and finally I did. And now I met Allison, who I helped get a job. So I think it might be better if we're going to do that. Now I did it. Allison got her a job and put it in my phone so that when I call Allison next time, she does need to find a house, by the way. So my embarrassment, I just want all you to know, my embarrassment helped me to pick up another client who has to rent until the end of the year. So I shared with her that, of course, now's the time. Let's get that pre-approval. And I'm going to open a portal for you. And you're going to be able to see all the areas and what's going on. And then by the time it's time for us to start looking for a house in the next month or so, you're going to be all ready to buy. So that really did help me doing that. But I just want you to know, don't be embarrassed like I was. Clean up your phone. And this DTD2 is going to help you do that.
It is. It takes, and the thing is, we are all, we all have call bias, like, oh, I don't want to call them, or I do it when I'm reaching out to agents, like, oh, they've been licensed forever, they don't want to talk to me, or, oh, you think of reasons why you shouldn't call somebody. And when you have the DTD2, it takes all of that away, and you're just list.
It does. And that's why I think I had so much luck during, how to say COVID, I always use the wrong word. I had a reason to call. What can I do for you? What do you need me to do for you? We are, which by the way, did help our business. We are essential. We get to work during the germ. What do you need? I'm already out. So there was a beauty to that. And then, you get busy. It's like, when you're successful, not successful. I don't want it to make it seem like I'm, you guys know what I want to say. You are out there. Now you slide back a little bit. And now how perfect is this? I've already looked at next week. It's B&E. And so I already looked at my B's, and I have a lot of B's, but I don't have a lot of E's. And I'm like, whew, I'm already making, like, I shouldn't be making an excuse not to do it. I should be happy I have B's and E's. And you know why I should really be happy? Because someone else did that for me.
Yes.
And I love it. Someone's got it all figured out. I don't have to think. But just so you know, on week 13, there's Z's, and I don't have a lot of Z's. So by the time I get to 13, I'll be able to take a little rest. I have to start
It's a
all over.
well-earned week off.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Do you have, I don't know if this is something you measure, but what gets the best response for you? Is it calls? Is it emails, texting? Is there one that brings-
Definitely calls, but I do have to tell you, I love emailing. What is not good for me is, because I think I might be a little old school,
Mhm.
is that I didn't know in bold that when I had to make my 800 phone calls, that I could text. I thought I had to physically talk to everybody. So it's okay, I did. And then like the 6th week, someone said, if you still got 8 more people to go, just text them. And I'm like, text them? We're allowed to do that? So it was like kind of nice. I didn't take advantage of it because I didn't want to let my team down.
Mhm.
But I am much better at a phone call.
Yeah,
Much.
I
You
think
know,
so.
I have to say that because I am getting just a touch older than most of the people in this market center, sometimes that phone call is necessary.
Mhm.
And sometimes you find out things that you might not have found out on Facebook, or, somebody didn't want to tell somebody. So it helps you to stay in touch, and not just to sell or buy a home, but to see what you can do for them,
Mhm.
and I feel bad sometimes. I don't keep doing that. So I really make it I'm much better with phone calls. Emails, I just talk as much on an email. And, we're reminded all the time in all the classes we take, make your emails short. Like, don't be screwing around and making them 13 paragraphs. And I
Yes.
don't know where to stop. We're in a phone call. I know when they've about had it.
Mhm.
So
Absolutely.
it's best for me.
Uh, and before I move on to the next one, I do think phone calls offer a sense of warmth. They can hear, it's more of a personal touch. So,
Yeah.
oh, like I've missed hearing her voice or whatever. So I want to ask you, Michaleen, you do such an amazing job. I don't want to say kill 2 birds with 1 stone, but you are
Mhm.
great with your sphere. You are so plugged into the community. Tell me, I guess just how are you nurturing your database while being present in the community? Are you using community events as client events? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Um, they're 2 different entities.
Okay.
I think what a lot of people don't know is that before I got back into real estate, I worked for the city as a special events coordinator. And I also ran the summer camp program. So when I left there and decided to go to the schools, I stayed there for 10 years as director of communication of Communia. And the reason I tell you this is that that was those were 20 really great years of connection for me. And they were because now those people are already have children that are buying. But I will tell you, it's a challenge in this community. I mean, listen, I'm just going to tell you what I have to say. Howard Hanna is a very strong entity here. And I get a challenge. I'm challenged now. Let me say this much, and it's the same as everybody in your communities,
Mhm.
that when you're going in and it's people that pretty much I can lock them off.
Mhm.
It's just that simple. But if I'm kind of going on a cold call and I might be the 3rd realtor, maybe not so much. On the other hand, now I got a little bit of extra behind me on why KW living is so much better. When I go on a listing that I'm in competition with, and I don't mean competition, you know what I mean? I don't think anybody competes to our office because I think we're the best. But, with everything that's just happened, I think I have enough on all of them now.
Mhm.
So I think
Absolutely.
I could be a little more successful. I just got to give it. Actually, I got to quit talking so fast. We just went a listing the other day. And when I called, they went, "Is Bob coming?" And I said, "He is." And they said, they're a little older. And they said, oh, good, because you talk so fast. We don't understand anything you're saying. So I need to work on that for the last 6 months of the year. So I'm
Oh,
struggling with
yeah,
that.
I love a fast talker. Okay,
Uh,
let me ask you this. So we know you're plugged into just about every community event that's there. What client events or pop buys do you guys do that brings you success within your database?
we have found that none of them are successful.
Stop it.
Ask Mindy, she's sitting right here. We did pies. Listen, I've had this conversation with a lot of other agents thinking, was it my flavors? I mean, what, I don't know what to do. I had it at, as for most of you, Heritage Coffee, everyone knows that Cybar is a friend of mine. So I like to have it there because it's like so much fun. And I got to tell you, I took a lot of pies to the fire departments because people said they were going to come and they didn't. Now, let me tell you what I'm finding my most success with is my little birthday Mitchell's
Mhm.
card. I'm finding, again, you know what it goes back to, you guys? It goes back to that personal touch. It's just easy to Eventbrite me and tell me that you're coming for a pie. Then we decided that we couldn't come. And so, Michaleen, we know you'll eat the pie. Truth there. But I'm wondering too, like with our Moana, there were
Mhm.
so many people, and we got to everybody that said they would come, but guess what? There were many people that didn't tell us they were coming. So that made it even better for us. So
Yes.
I wish I could pinpoint that, Jilly, a little bit better as
Mhm.
to, are you coming or not? Should I be calling? Probably.
I
Um,
think, Michaeline, too, that might be the party planner in you because you're also forgetting whether you're donating pies to the fire department or they're all gone, everybody came. What happens is it's not even about the event, it's a touch to your database. So you
well,
have
that's
invited them
true.
to something they're expecting. So even if you have a bunch left over, people are going to remember what you've offered. It is because what's the saying? The people don't care what you know until they know how much you care. And
Well,
the reason agents, I think, feel awkward calling their database is because, oh, well, I haven't talked to them in 2 years since we closed on their house. It doesn't have to be about how, having a client event is an excuse to nurture your database. So
it
I think for
is.
that, it's a win.
And I love them. And it also goes back to my phone call this morning, letter A, that she had to remind me of who she was and what I did. But I think we're all like that, being realtors. We're always doing something for someone,
Mhm.
always. Buyer, seller, vendor, cleaning lady. uh, It's just in our nature, all of us. And we just have to accept that. Again, I was a little embarrassed, but don't let that stop you. I told you about it so that it wouldn't stop you from doing your letter of the week just because in your phone you didn't know who it was. It
Mhm.
was really kind of a little bit embarrassing, but kind of cool as well.
You made a connection out of it. I think
I
that
did.
actually gives me motivation. What advice, as we're rounding up, and if anybody has questions, please feel free to put them in the chat or unmute yourself. But what we touched on this a little bit, but is there any advice you would give to somebody, whether they're starting out or there's somebody who just like cringes when they say to reach out to your database and maybe they'd rather make FSBO calls? What advice would you give to them?
Well, you know, here's the thing to always remember, and I'm going to wrap it up like this just because I know anyone that knows me how I am. Your best thinking got you here.
That's huge.
That's it. Your best thinking got you here. If you have to have the thought, and if you don't have the thought, then there's no condition. If you have the thought and you are and you're thinking health or your career, for me, most of the time it's health because I eat too much cake, but money, relationships, you're creating the condition. So you have to have it here first before you can create anything. So I think that sometimes it's very easy for me to blame someone else if I'm not having the success. But in our market center, with the people that are involved and the people that are part of this and Elevate and Legacy, we'll all be rock stars.
Mhm.
period.
Yeah.
But if you don't believe in yourself and you just do it and not really care what anyone else thinks, you're not going to succeed
Mhm.
because you're listening to everything everyone's saying. And you know what? We almost have 400 of these books.
Yep.
But if you don't open that book and do what the book says, then you're not calling your A through W's or your B's and A's or your D's and O's.
Mhm.
Got to do it. Got to do it. And I do hate that line. I'm going to say one more time, just do it. And 1000% true.
I
That's for
agree.
sure.
And you know, something else Hudson said, since you mentioned him from Bold, he would always say, and I believe this so much, that action breeds reaction. So
Mhm.
even if you're making calls and you called through 20 people that day and nothing really came from it, it's crazy the way it works, because even if you didn't get results from that, or action breeds results, maybe that's what he said.
Mhm.
Even if you didn't get results from that, call it energy, whatever, but when you're doing the action, it ends up coming back to you. So I'd
Agree.
encourage everyone to just
I
do
agree.
what you said.
Well, and it's cute because then he would end it with, thank you, you're welcome.
Yes.
And I love that because it's like that little touch of sarcasm, and he can get away with a lot more than I, but it's the truth. Here you
Mhm.
go. Now just get on the phone. And one little last thing, I've told the story a million times, we're probably going to get cut off. I will never forget, I went to a regional thing, I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago, and Dick Dillingham was teaching.
Mhm.
And, I just want to be a buyer's agent, of course, at that time, because, listings aren't important. And we were at a round table and we were talking about how many calls we make. And he was just going from table to table. And he's like, how many phone calls do you make a day? I go, well, I don't like to list. I just like running buyers. And he said, you do? And I said, I do. He goes, listings are leverage. And I go, yeah, I know, but I just love running buyers. And he said, so how many listings do you have? I said, none. And he said, I swear to God, I will never forget this as long as I live. You can't make one phone call a day. And I'm telling you, I scooted down in my chair. I wanted to die. And you know what? I always make at least one phone call a day because he's always in the back. Should I be making 20? Well, if I stick to that letter system, I'll be okay. But one phone call, make that one phone call and never forget that as long as I live. I was so embarrassed.
Mhm.
And he's right, because you never know what that one phone call is going to do. And it might be someone that just needs to hear your voice.
Absolutely. Or they need to sell a house and that one phone call was worth $10,000.
Yes, exactly. No, you're right, Julie. I agree 100%, but it's tough. But I'm telling you, nobody in our market center cannot say that they don't have everything available to them to be a rock star,
Mhm.
because we do.
Absolutely. Well, Michaleen, I thank you so much for doing this. One of
Thank
my
you.
takeaways from today is something I think you are spectacular with is you make people feel special. And there are times I will walk in and she saw something at the store that was similar to what we talked about. And it just, I can't tell you the joy it brings me. It could be something that is free. It doesn't matter. You have a great way of making people feel special. So I hope you guys can take that for your database, make them feel special. I love the DT, D2. You were wonderful.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you for asking.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And thank you everybody for hopping on. We will do another one next week.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Great job.
Thank you.